undefeated junior welterweight contender Karim Mayfield here. Another guy you had worked with, Tim Bradley, I believe, before he got ready to fight Nate Campbell, August 2009. You were in camp with him. Tell me about what led to the call to work to go to Bradley's camp.
Anyways, I was having to be in Palm Springs. My boy was young homie, my coach's son, was getting ready for a fight. So me and his older son had drove him down to the tournament in Palm Springs. And anytime I go down, anywhere I go, I bring my sparring gear. Like, I mean, you never know when it may go down. If I'm going to Alaska, I'm bringing my sparring gear. I might find a Eskimo fighter or something just to get some work. But anyways, happened to find out Timothy Bradley was getting ready for the Galaxy Warrior, Nate Campbell. So anyways, he was like, I was trying to find a gym because I was going to be down there for a few days. Come to find out, Tim was sparring down there. My coach Ben was like, hey, Timothy's getting ready to fight Bradley. You want to get some work down there? He's getting ready to fight the Galaxy Warrior. You want to get some work? I'm like, yeah, I got my gear. Let's do it. So we show up at the sparring, at the gym, and then they like, oh, hey, and he's like, you're going to get like 4 rounds or whatever, and he's like, you want to get 4 4-minute rounds, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. So anyways, we get in the ring, and I get to doing my thing or whatever, moving, and we're trying to check him out, and they say Timothy Bradley's the pit bull, but he's not the pit bull like how I'm a pit bull, like for real, and he's definitely a pit bull. But I was able to pit bull the bully. I was able to pit bull the bully. And I swear on my life, man, as I sit here, I was able to bully him. You know what I mean? And that's when and his coach wasn't there at the time. Actually, it was just his dad there. And they wanted 4 rounds. They took me out in 2. But anyways, I remember at one particular time they was like, Bradley, if you watching this, I know you gonna watch this, man. But you remember this. Your dad was like, you know what I mean? I was doing my bully thing, you know what I mean? On the inside, just kind of like smothering, just doing some. I ain't gonna expose what I was doing though. But his dad was like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, I backed off from Bradley, got up out of his chest. I was people, I was all in his chest, right? So anyway, I get up out of it. I back up. I'm like, what, man? Like I'm fighting, like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to say I'm boxing because I wasn't boxing. I was fighting. You feel me? It was a mugging. We was in an alley. It was an alley fight. And then so anyways, his dad, I'm like, well, I back up. He like, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about him, Timothy. Like, why are you letting him do you like this? I swear on my life. And they took me out of the ring, bro. And then they was like, and I'm like, whoa. Like, it was just a silent ring thing again. Everybody was silent. Anyways, I get my stuff, get ready to go. And then I asked the guy that hooked me up that got the sparring. I'm like, yo, what was that about? And he was like, man, he told me something that was real deep. He said the morale of a fighter is important. And he was just like, when getting closer to the fight, like to him, you're some old kid. At that point, I wasn't, you know what I mean? I bet he didn't even know my name. I probably was only like maybe 10-0 at the time. He said, you're some kid that's off the street. He was like, you know what I mean? Some kid off the street, come in here, give him a few rounds, and you're disrupting his whole program. Like, you know what I mean? You wasn't even in camp with him. He don't even know who you are, and you're making him feel that look this bad. They didn't want to put him in another 2 rounds in there with you. You know what I mean? Because he couldn't figure out my style, though. Basically, is what it was. You know what I mean? And mentally, with him only being a week, 2 weeks out before a fight, you know, the morale of a fighter is very fragile. Some fighters are fragile, you know, not me, I ain't fragile. But just overall fragile, just, you know, mentally, you know, it's just like, where did this guy just come from and what did he just do, you know what I mean? And, you know, going back to that, somebody had asked his coach, oh, what's the validity of Mayfield fighting, sparring Bradley and him leaving, and him only doing 2 rounds again. Like, Mayfield never sparred Bradley, that's a lie, whoa, right? So I'm like, so they called, I get called on the interview, and I'm like, they're like, oh, where his dad said you basically lying. I'm like, I'm lying? I'm like, oh, hold on. I said, I down my boy number that went out there with me, Biz Ben Batista, right? I dial his number on 3-way, online, worldwide or whatever, right? I'm like, Biz, what's happening? He like, what's up, bro? I'm like, hey, remember when we went out there to take Isaiah to the tournament? I'm like, he like, yeah. I'm like, what you I'm like, who did I work with then? He's like, who you work with? You tripping, blah. I'm like, Bradley. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm like, yeah, how many rounds it did? He's like, man, they wanted 6 or something, and it took you out in 2, or something like that. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what was I doing? I'm wondering what was I doing. I'm trying to remember what I was doing with him, because I didn't want to make it seem scripted. I'm asking him like I'm just genuinely talking to my boy. So, because it wasn't scripted. You know what I mean? So I'm talking to my boy, so he couldn't figure out that I'm on the phone. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, what was I doing? Cause he like, man. He was kind of busy at the moment. Like, hold on. He like, hey, yeah, bro, you was bullying him. You was bullying him. You bullied him through him. He's like, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, cool. I'm like, oh, bro, that's all I wanted to ask you. Then he like, hey, what's up? We still going to Miami? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get at you later. I just hung up on him. You know what I mean? But I showed him like, man, this is real. And then, like I said, I had realized. He said, mate, his coach wasn't lying. Well, he was lying, but he didn't know that he wasn't there that day for some reason at the sparring session, so maybe he didn't know, and maybe they didn't tell him that Timothy got bullied that day. You know, and you know what I mean? So that's what happened in this camp. And Timothy, like I said, talking to you, you know, that's what happened, man. Definitely a pit bull, but I'm pit bully, for sure.
Got you. Did you talk to Tim at all in that camp after?
I didn't. You know what? Oh, good question. Because I swear, I'll put this on my life. I remember the last thing that I said, his last words to me, and his only words to me. When I was walking out, he was shadow boxing, and I'm like, unpacking my stuff, you know, because I was, I don't know, I know I kind of bullied the guy, and I'm like, and I was just like, when I walked off, so like, it was weird how I left, because, you know, it was only like, I was supposed to do 2 rounds, and it was an awkward moment, you know what I mean, with me only coming in there. I was only supposed to do 2 rounds, so I kind of like just got my stuff ready and like, you know what I mean, and walked off, you know, and got out of there. And I didn't even have to change much because, you know what I mean, it was Palm Springs, 100 degrees. I put my shorts on and got up out of there. But as I was walking out the ring, he's like, hey. I'm like, what did he say? Hey, good way of stopping my punches out there. He said smother. Good way of smothering my punches out there. Good way of smothering my punches. I'm like, right on, bro. Do your thing. And I left, bro. But that was the only words he said to me, and you know what I mean, that stuck with me in my head. But you know, it's funny because Timothy was actually when I fought in the Olympic trials off there. Excuse me, the Bakersfield trial was for the Olympics 2004, same time that he Andre Ward and all of them had went. I was in Bakersfield. I made it to like the semifinals out there. But Timothy Bradley actually fought in Bakersfield there as an amateur, and he lost on the first night, right? And he actually became champion. But it's a trip how things go. But he lost. He got a bad draw. He lost to Van Ness. What's Van Ness? Monterosa. He lost to, so he got a bad draw on the first night. Monterosa actually won the whole thing. I went out there. I only had like 20 amateur fights out there. Still made it to the Olympic trials. You know what I mean? That was a cool little experience for me. Like I said, I was fresh off the block with 20 fights, fighting dudes that had like 150 fights, trying to make it to the Olympics, and I still made it to the semifinals. I was happy with that. It was people crying that they didn't make it. You know what I mean? But that's what it is.